Greetings. Today I want to speak to you concerning Abdullah and the metaphysical pregnancy, which is actually the spiritual and psychological pregnancy. You see, most people have been taught to look outwardly and to be one-track minded when we are multi-dimensional beings. And so they only see pregnancy on one level. But they fail to realize that everything was first a thought, it was first an idea, it was first imagined. In other words, they fail to realize that we are living in a mental construct and that all is mind. So Abdullah, being this self-realized person, this person who would have had an inner experience of his true self, his true essence. And I'm saying all of this because of my own experience as a melanated person who was raised in a society that has taught me to look outwardly for Lord, our God, our Savior, and Redeemer outside of myself. And so when I had my awakening experience, I realized how much I did not know, and I realized how much they would have impressed my subconscious mind in my formative years with lies and with limitation, with things that would keep me in self-doubt and self-hate. Thus the reason why they taught me to believe in the book of mind science or the Bible exoterically. So they gave me an exoteric teaching instead of an esoteric teaching. And so based on Neville Goddard's story, he said that Abdullah said to him that there is no such a thing as a small pregnancy. If you are pregnant and you must bring forth the baby. Well, when you realize that a desire, a burning desire, is a spiritual sensation, then you would realize that your action would mean whether there is an impregnation or if you have aborted your goals, your dream, your desires, or your spiritual baby, which we would refer to in this physical three-dimensional realm as your brainchild. Okay? And so when Neville wanted to abort the idea of going to Barbados without any money, without any work, in a time of a Great Depression, Abdullah reaffirmed to him that he must understand that it is a spiritual sexual act, and he must get that orgasm and go into Sabbath, go into rest. Sow the seed and understand the principle of sowing and reaping. And so my brothers and my sisters, could you imagine there's so many people all around the world who do not understand the principle of sowing and reaping? People who do not understand how the mind works. People who do not understand that when they have a desire and they carry around that desire, believe in it, and they involve in self-talk to affirm their belief, and they create that feeling that would impress upon their subconscious mind. It is a pregnancy. And that pregnancy will bring forth a manifestation. So it is thoughts, action, and manifestation. And if you look at how you've been expressed on this planet, your mother and your father, they had a burning desire. And they act upon that burning desire through the act of sex, which is sacred energy exchange. And you've been expressed here. So your thought evolved being. So my brother and my sisters, I'm doing this video as a reminder to let you know that you are not a human trying to be spiritual. You're a spirit and you're having a human experience. And so, to me, Abdullah is a state of mind. Abdullah is a state of consciousness. Abdullah being a servant, a messenger of the highest, and one being melanated, and one whose origin is from Ethiopia. It's all symbolic of what has been hid in Ethiopia from since the dawn of time. and why they were not colonized, and why they still have the original book of mind science, and why they understood the ball from the skull, that immaculate conception. And so when you receive this wisdom, you will realize that there's a people who have been duped to go against themselves, and they reject the inner sun, the S-U-N, and they hold to a S-O-N. And that put them in a place of self-doubt and self-hate. And so they've been colonized inwardly and outwardly. For example, if you grew up in a colonized country, like the country I grew up in, you'll have a colonial mentality. But when that colonial mentality have you crippled and have you in a coma, you'd walk this planet being a living dead. For example, for those who would have listened to the messages of Neville Goddard, I want to assure you that Neville Goddard family runs the biggest businesses right now in my country. They own the biggest businesses in my country. Okay? And that they're part of the ruling families that been ruling this colonial country for so many years. Okay? Also, Neville family, they had owned slaves in the island of Barbados and so on. They were forfeited certain lands that they were supposed to be given. Okay? And so these planters and slave masters, they would have always known that the Bible is a book of mind science. They would have always kept certain secret, and they passed down these secrets from lip to ears. Okay? And that is why I want you to become impregnated with the truth. That's why I always share the truth with you. That's the reason why also they took out certain things out of Neville Goddard Wikipedia. Okay? And so people who now would have just found Neville, they would read his biography, I mean to say, okay? And they would know certain things were taken out, okay, prior to meeting Abdullah. And how we get to really meet Abdullah, there's a part there that they took out, okay? And so, if you do not know those things, you will be everything that was fed to you. And you will get caught up with the Neville Goddard bandwagon. But when you understand that you come from our ancestry of gods, of kings and queens and princes and princesses, and you understand the empire of Ethiopia and the many other African empires, then you would understand where I'm coming from and why I'm bringing this message to you from this angle. Many people like to tell you about manifest this and manifest that. Yes, nothing wrong with manifestation or the law of attraction. But most importantly, you have to know your ancestry. You have to know who you are. Okay? So become impregnated with this knowledge. Become impregnated with one who will have experienced the promise. You see, everybody is teaching you the law and tell you to manifest this and manifest that. Okay? Everyone is manifesting on this planet, whether consciously or unconsciously. But when you come to know that your real identity is your divinity, and you stop looking outwardly, and you start believing in secular Christianity, and you realize that secular Christianity, been keeping you in mental slavery, then you can start to build generational wealth. You could raise up a family. And when I speak about a family, I'm speaking about people all around the world. For example, if you listen to me, and what I'm saying, if it resonates with you, you're part of this family, okay? So, my brother, my sisters, use this knowledge wisely, okay, and become a conscious and a deliberate creator. But most of all, learn to know who you are. And then you will see the scars of colonialism, and you will see the continuation of a systematic form of slavery that continue through the children of the slave master, and you have to break the curse, okay? Not until you break the curse that you will be free. free. Money don't make you free. Okay? It's the truth that will make you free. For when you know the truth, that truth that you know, that is what will set you free. So with that being said, my brother, my sister, I want to thank you very much for listening to me. I want to say to you, if this is the very first time that you listen to me and what I'm saying, if it really makes sense to you, if it really resonates with you and you haven't subscribed already, I'm definitely encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share this video. Also, if you like to follow me on Instagram, you like to follow me on TikTok, you can definitely follow me at Black Mad Guru. If you like to get my books, they are all available on Amazon. The links are down in my description. I have about 10 or more books, plus my gratitude journal for him and for her. Starting with I am so happy and grateful now, and you add the rest. Okay, you just have to add and wait. Okay. Also, if you like to do a one-on-one with me, you can drop me an email. You can book a one-on-one with me, and on any platform you choose for we to speak, we can do that. Whether is it on WhatsApp or on Zoom or whatever platform. Okay. If not, I have an app that you can book me on called Faithia. It's a more religious app, but they allow me to be there to teach my spirituality and so on. So the choice is yours, plus you have an opportunity to listen to my teaching and listen to the teaching of the many men and women there who are still trapped in secular Christianity that is pointing you to look outwardly. But I'm teaching you to understand the Bible esoterically, metaphysically, psychologically. So the choice is yours. So also, if you would like to become a part of my Patreon community, you're most welcome, and I have a course there that's called the Inner Sun Science and Technology to Create Your Reality Consciously. And along with that is a bonus course on self-concept. And that is why I'm teaching you that the sun, as in the S-U-N, parallels the human imagination. And the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun, there's no life and there's no light. And without the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. That is why it is your imagination that you must use to produce a metaphysical impregnation and bring forth your brainchild. Okay, and then you will understand the Immaculate Conception and know that the greatest lie that has ever been fed to humanity is the interpretation of the Jesus and Mary story that has been interpreted to you as literal and secular history. So with that being said, my brother, my sisters, my last encouragement to you is to make sure you check out all of the links that are down below, and definitely let your intuition lead you and guide you into what to do. So with that being said, I just want to say peace, love you all, out.